We are a home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This is Election Brief with me, Aisha Ibrahim. For the next half hour, we have updates on the most trending political stories in the country. Election Headquarters is brought to you by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Election Headquarters for an informed electorate. Please do stay. And as the two political parties, the governing NPP and the opposition NDC, prepare to launch their manifestos, conversations around what should go into that document has intensified. Dr. Bawumia this week announced a team to work on his manifesto with former majority leader leading that charge. The NDC's flag bearer, John Mahama, is also in a policy dialogue to generate ideas for the party's manifesto. There have been concerns, however, that manifestos of political parties over the period have often not captured the real problems affecting the people. What then should be the focus of the political parties in preparing this all-important document? I've been joined by former UN advisor on governance and CEO of the Kufuor Foundation, Professor Bafo Agyemangua. Grateful for your time, sir. First, let's look at the critical role this document plays in our politics.
Well, thank you for having me. Manifestos, as you know, have been part of our system since the beginning of this republic. Every 4 years, the parties come to tell us what they plan to do for the coming 4 years. But, you know, for me, from the experience of the past 30 years, it seems to me that these manifestos are really not relevant to the way our governments govern those who get into power. Most of it, the manifestos are just promising people what leaders or the political parties will do when they win power. In power, we normally see things differently, either because they miscalculated the resources available for them to have promised all those tall things that they wanted to do, or maybe their mind changed once they got into power. So the manifestos for me are not critical. What is critical for me, and as they are preparing their manifestos, is to look at the fundamental issues of governance and development in our country. And I'm sure we'll be discussing that as we go on. They don't have to tell people what they want to hear in order to win elections. And that's what they do. Tell all kinds of stories, things that they dream about, which they know cannot be realized, only because they think that the electorate are vulnerable. They really, they can take them for a run. And that has been the case over the years. So in my view, in my humble view, this time around, we are hoping that they will come with solid proposals to reverse the trend in our economy and our political system. If they can promise to do that, then I'm sure we'll be on the way to recovery.
About critical issues that they must focus on. What are these critical issues they must focus on?
For the sake of this conversation, I'll pick just two. The first one is what all of us know. The economy of this country has been wobbling for many, many years, decades, I should say, only because we tend to deal with the superficialities of the government. Look, the fact is that we have an economy that is fully dependent on the global economy that is fully dependent on handouts from the international financial institutions, economy whose budget, a nation whose budget is oftentimes subvented by donors. That is not an independent economy. So we have to be serious to think and strategize on how we will reverse this dependency syndrome that we have been engulfed in and to see how we can reduce, at least for the beginning, to reduce the extent of dependence.
So Professor Bafo Ajimandria is the former UN advisor on governance. He's also the CEO of the Kofo Foundation. He has been helping us understand the importance of this document called Manifestoes. Of course, there are issues also concerning the fact that political parties actually put in a lot of things to get these manifestos, and then when they come to power, they really don't make reference to the manifestos. When I get him back, he will be telling us more on what should be done as we gear up for the 2024 elections. So we have Professor Ajimandria, right? So we're trying to get Professor Ajimandria to come back for us to continue this conversation. But it's a very important conversation as the political parties prepare their manifestos. What do the people want? What are their aspirations? What are their expectations? This is what we are going to be having. Professor Bafo Ajimandria, I'm happy you are back. So you were talking about what issues must really be the focus of these political parties.
The focus should be on how we reverse the downside of our economy, how we strategize to avoid borrowing to be the main sustenance of our economy. Fortunately or unfortunately for us, we know that we cannot go to the Eurobond again because we have overborrowed, we've hit the ceiling. So the parties have a responsibility to tell Ghanaians how they're going to fund the project that they propose. Of course, domestic resource, financial mobilization, taxation and all, then also they should know that when you overtax people, you kill local business. And that is happening in the country. So how they bring this country out of the economic logjam should be number one. And as I say, there are so many.
Right, that is Professor Ajimandria. We've lost him again. We'll try and bring him back. But right now, let me take you to Alan Tremantin's tour of markets today. He's been speaking with some market folks.
It does signal something, that when you are connected spiritually to the ordinary people, you don't need to mobilize them. You can see that the impact has been spontaneous, and I'm indeed humbled. And you can also get a sense from the remarks that they are making that they want to see a change in Ghana. Yes, we've had our two dominant parties for the last 32 years, and it's almost unanimous in terms of what you are hearing from them, that it is time for a change. And I happen to be the right man at the right time. And they are expressing their confidence in me to be able to lead this transformation process. So I'm pleased about what is going on so far.
You fancy your chances of winning the December elections?
The people are deciding. They've already made it clear that they want to see Alan Tremantin as the next president. You've heard it yourself. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is the leader of the Movement for Change, Alan Tremantin there. He's been touring the various markets and business centers in Accra, and he's currently at the Kadeshi market there, Aisha.
The message that the leader of the Movement for Change has been giving out to these market folks. Right, so that's Kenneth Jesse speaking with Alan Tremantin. He's a leader for the Movement for Change. He's been telling us the message that Alan Tremantin has been giving to these market folks. He's been around since morning. He's been to the Makola market. He's been to, we're told he's now at the Kaneshi market. Kenneth Jesse will join us back and tell us more about this market tour of Alan Tremantin. But I'm happy to have Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah back on the line. Prof, before the line dropped, you were talking about what should go into the manifestos of the political parties.
Yes, I think I started talking about the need to focus on the economy, the economic revival.
Correct.
Because, as we all know, we're in the worst of times. We cannot go borrow anymore. So you have to begin to look inside what domestic initiative the parties or governments in power should undertake in order to ameliorate this serious situation that we have. History will tell us that there was a time when this country was able to initiate a domestic program called Operation Feed Yourself, which enabled Ghana to completely feed itself for a number of years, at least 3-4 years. We didn't have to import onions and tomatoes from the Sahelian countries, and so many things. I think self-reliance should be the pole that I think all these parties should be looking at. Self-reliance, that's important. That will cut down the excessive importation that, of course, tends to eat up our few foreign exchange that we have. The second important point we need to look at is how we structure the internal politics of this country. I've heard that some of these candidates are promising to support constitutional review. But if you look at how we have structured our politics, it's also hurting our progress. Why is it that we cannot proceed with full decentralization to enable the districts, to enable politics to emerge from the grassroots? Now everything is centered here in Accra. Community development.
We lost Professor Agyeman-Duah again, but he's making some very important inputs into this. What should really go into our manifestos? When we get him back, we'll continue. Professor Agyeman-Duah, continue.
Nature of the executive power that tends to guide everything that we do in the country can be limited. And I think if we do that,
there seems to be a connection problem there, but he's made a very good point. The economy should be key to the political parties putting together their manifestos. Now, the Electoral Commission has admonished political parties to deploy effective party agents to represent them during the December 7 presidential and parliamentary elections. This is to foster transparency in the polls. Ashanti Regional Director of the EC, Benjamin Barnobue, says the Commission is putting in place measures to ensure a transparent electoral process that reflects the desires of voters. Speaking at the launch of an electoral dashboard created by experts from the KNUST, he noted the EC's efforts must be complemented by political parties. Nana Boachi Yadom has more.
The electoral dashboard, created by experts from the KNUST's Faculty of Social Science, is a comprehensive and intuitive platform designed to provide real-time insights into electoral data, ensuring transparency and informed decision during elections. It combines advanced data visualization techniques, geographical mapping, and demographic analysis to offer a holistic view of electoral processes. Ashanti Regional Boss of the Electoral Commission, Benjamin Barnobue, appreciated the efforts of the university in helping the commission to conduct a transparent election.
This is a very innovative research, and it's going to enhance the work of the Electoral Commission to a very high level. You know, election is about information, it's about transparency, it's about fairness. You can do all things, but if you don't showcase it, people will not know what is happening. With this electoral dashboard, it is going to be a one-shop for all information relating to elections. It is going to make our work more transparent, and it's also going to show the level of integrity in our system.
Mr. Banobio called on political parties to contribute to the effort in ensuring a transparent election by deploying effective and efficient agents to various polling stations during the elections.
My work for the political parties is that, please, trust the Electoral Commission and the system. Get actively involved. Engage effective party agents, not just anyone who can talk. Effective party agent who knows what he's doing, so that he will be able to differentiate between 66 and 99, so that he will be able to stand up for the interests of his party or his candidate, and then let them follow due processes. If there are anything they think they are going on against the rules and regulations, they should draw the attention of the officials there, and it will be explained to him. If they check and it is so, the corrective measures will be taken. We are not hiding anything from anybody. What we want to do as a commission, to organize an election in a very free, fair, and incontrovertible manner, so that in the end, whoever lost will know that, yes, I did my best, but I lost genuinely.
Research lead on the project, Gift Dumata, says the electoral dashboard will contribute to Ghana's long-standing democratic status.
The electoral dashboard that we've developed, it's a service that we really wanted to offer to the Ghanaian public. We felt that by giving information to the Ghanaian public will stimulate participation, and if for our country we have a lot of participation in our electoral process, that will provide transparency and also enhance the legitimacy of our election that we carry out in general. And what we have, the online electoral dashboard that we provided, is to help with our conversation. And we understand that this is just the beginning. It's a start of a larger conversation, and we are very fortunate that the stakeholders are here to play their parts in terms of providing their inputs to make it better.
For Joy News, Nana Boache Dakwayadom, Komase.
Thankfully, Professor Bafwa Jimandria has joined us back on the Manifestoes conversation. Prof, you spoke about the economy, and you said you were going to talk about just two of the things that the politicians must focus on in this document.
The second one relates to how we restructure our politics away from over-centralization to a more decentralized system. As you know, I think we're having a feedback. Am I okay?
Yes, go ahead, Prof.
So we need to restructure the system to ensure that democracy begins at the grassroots, not what we have, which is democracy top-down. Everybody looks at the national level for anything that this country needs. As a result, when you leave Accra to go to other places of this country, you don't see any activity in terms of development because everybody is waiting for government to provide. An excellent example is the recent story of the majority leader in parliament, who announced to the country that his main reason for not going back to parliament to contest was because his constituency have come back to him to say that if he doesn't come to the constituency to drain the toilet that he built for them some years ago, they are not going to get it. That is a very profound statement that he shared with us, indicating that we have developed this dependency syndrome on our people, the way the politics is structured, to the extent that even in the villages, they expect government to provide these basic facilities. So the point I'm making here is the need for our political system to be restructured, to be re-engineered. And all this would be within the context of reforming the Constitution. It's something that some of our politicians have promised, but we are yet to get the details. So for me, if the parties can focus on how we reverse the decline in our economy, how they are able to help us to wean ourselves away from the dependency, that we have on international financial institutions. And secondly, to help restructure the governance of this country. If they can.
That is Professor Bafwa Jemandria. The internet hasn't been fair to us, but of course, he's made some very critical points there. And of course, we've been watching the political parties as to how they delve into this preparation of this document. Now, former leader of the majority side in Parliament, Osei Mensah Bonsu, today confirmed there had been rancor in his party, the NPP, over talks about his removal. Addressing Parliament for the final time as majority leader, he said, for the sake of peace and not to harm his party's chances in 2024, he decided to resign voluntarily. But what do the constituents of Swame in the Ashanti region, who kept him in Parliament for 24 years, think about this? It is important to note Osei Mensah Bonsu in longer a contestant in this year's, he's no longer contesting in this year's parliamentary election.
He has been a minority leader for 4 years, I think, and a majority leader for 7 years, 2 months now. And for him to resign, we know what he can do. And anytime you go to him, he said party first. Anything that will make our MPP party break the 8. That is what we have to really behind, not about any individual. So I think what he has done is the interest of the party.
In Ghana, everybody knows that Honorable Osei Mensah has served well as a member of parliament, as a majority leader, and served well both the NDC and the MPP. Even the efforts that he had made at the parliament is good for him to resignate from the parliament house, so that the party will just carry on to break the 8.
He has resigned to save himself from disgrace. Some time ago, he was almost beaten at Swami Magazine. He couldn't perform as MP and a majority leader. I think our MP wants to concentrate on his new role in Baumia's campaign. It is good. He's sacrificing for the party.
We're going to now listen to some voters at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle on what will inform their votes come December 7.
I'm not going to vote because, first of all, I've been voting over the past years and I'm not seeing any changes. That's my reason why I'm not going to vote this year.
Mr. Minian Ghana Maya or Maya Yeti Ganem. Say Obuha was sorry, I was a men to Abba, Mr. Mumia, fire, Dwin Quabem Crum. Na yentimi ento abano emma wo bibiara because o ma yetimu se mu yeda ye nyina na yetimu se mu so nyeda ye nyina na yetimu eti so betimi atena wo menu na so wo nto aba eti no na ye wo pe no wanto aba amano a na me yeso se wa mistake kakra
yeah they be influence me amama to aba in this coming election no no maybe my ye hwe nim say politicians no and I say ye leaders na be ya man one to say basic things be our say ni penya or say tuminya kwan ye tuminya schools ye tuminya road ye tuminya hospitals, some basic things be our say ni pass to me gina what I know ye enema ba kwan o say me gina so dey ato aba. Secondly yen sikasem kwan yen sikasem yen penifo no hwe so etoto yen sikasem and also one of the reasons are many gina so to aba. But o hwe se ne yen current administration omo teso ne se ne omo manage e nyoma senior like area sinisi corner Ghana sheen koso ye road o Fabotiano road it is said there like what it is a road erosion it is said odona gata omunya she ba miane ekufu adu administration where there eye chase o kan kra o dwen wa won ti ase o ti ase o dwen wa won ti ase ba o mi ade me nim reason kwante o pese still no Ghana for to me nya kokodro be vote man and I see to be Ghana to be cheap to the extent say looking at Bawumia to stand in front of us, telling us we should vote for him. And I see Ghana to be cheap.
Montumaba Emma Mahama, na Mahama ba, Bibi Bia by a fine, Shania Waya Kumase, Shania Waya and Knine. She said, one more here for president here, or Bawa Manimua, a dear Sundie, Eba men to Messagana mine. Baby Adrona Mahani Mahama will be ala, ye vote to your dinner cheap, say ye to me many Pamukra Mekan, Yadia home Eddie Mahamachi. I say I don't catch ya baby Biara will be a Michiao, Mia, but she baby Biara will be a Yadu so sumuta Motisa Afi, Mobaba Tuaba, ye here will be a year IPP, our mining, Marie.
Usha Bawumia or more claim Elian say, or economic wizard. Normally, the head of economists now, Ocean performance circles is say Oba Johnson Bakwa 1 cedi. So Oba Johnson circles is say 1 Ghana cedi. So Oba call private 5 Ghana cedi now Oba call private. Oba ton so 50 pesos now Oba Johnson 1 Ghana cedi. Now sorry now upon all this now to me akukodo say Oba Johnson say yanto Abama one. Na me who say Ghana cry cheap. Say Bawumia betu me akukodo say yemeto Abama.
What will influence me to vote is because of what His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia have bring to power. He being on power as a vice president have done a lot for Ghanaians. I would say digitalization, for example. In the olden days when the NDC people were on power, there were a lot of corruptions going on. But Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia being on power, bringing digitalization, have helped reduce the corruption in Ghana. I think Ghanaians should go and vote to get Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to come and lead Ghana again, because the man is very incredible for Ghanaians. We can't lose him.
Abane die, omani munye, eti abane die me woni metu amano metu mabama NDC. If it's NDC ba, ebema omani mu atima ye kama, die mehwehwe bia wo mu no bensa beka.
Those are some voices of electorates who will be casting their votes December 7. I have some few minutes left. Professor Ajimandria is back. Let me briefly wrap up with you, Prof. So there are concerns that these manifestos normally, which is supposed to be a guide to the political parties, they come to power and they do not make reference to it. Why then do we even need a manifesto in the first place?
Excellent question that you pose. What do we need the manifestos for? The parties spend a lot of energy, resources to put them together. At times they are in hundreds of pages. Yet we don't see any relationship between these manifestos and their governance. Look, what seems very clear to me is that the political parties are very good at organizing and winning elections, but they are very poor at governing the country. Because what we have experienced over the past 30 years is that they win power and they ignore the promises that they make because of certain realities that they come face to face with. And then turn around and do almost nothing as to what the people have expected from them.
Unfortunately, I've run out of time, but that's the point you made. What's the need for a manifesto? I think this is a conversation we'll be having going forward. Thank you so much, Professor Ajimandria, for joining us. This is your election brief on Joy News, election headquarters for an informed electorate.